'tis I, the Frenchiest fry. No, I am not dead. I am back. I just had a very busy last few months that just kept me distracted from obviously doing what I should be doing, which is YouTube. Duh. No, I'm kidding. No, I wanted to upload more these past few months, but I got very busy, so it's very difficult to do all that. But now I am back, and I'm going to put my pencil down so I don't hit anybody. I am back, and I'm here with another video. In a past video, I mentioned that I'm a, quote, aspiring historian, and that's definitely true. I'm actually a history major in college, and because vintage is really very historical, I want to add like a historical dimension to my channel, so I thought it'd be fun to have a segment where I talk about history as a discipline. I kind of want to give it a snappy name like Historian Corner or something, but I don't know. Maybe that's lame, or maybe I should just, I don't know. Maybe I'll come up with a better name. I don't really know, but like I said, I want to have like a segment on my channel where I talk about history as a discipline, just providing like tips and insights into that sort of thing. So I thought for my first video on that segment, I would talk about tips for writing a research thesis. Now, this is actually very topical and relevant to me because one of the things that kept me really busy this past semester was the fact that I was writing my senior history thesis. So these are tips that come from experience, and they not only apply to like writing like a historical research paper, but it can also apply to research papers within other disciplines. But I'm going to be talking specifically about history in this video. So here we go. Number one is pick a topic that interests you. Research and writing a paper is hard enough on its own without having to force yourself to write about something that you really don't like. So make the process easier on yourself by picking something that interests you. Depending on the kind of class that you're taking, you might be given like parameters or a prompt, but see how flexible that prompt is. What different directions could you take that prompt? Just see what are your limitations and what are your freedoms, and work with that as much as possible to find a topic that really, really interests you. And honestly, if you do that, your paper is going to come together a lot more easily, and it'll be a lot more enjoyable for someone to read because that person will be able to tell that you're enjoying the process. So yes, do that and it'll be better. Number two is reach out to other teachers and professors. Again, research, particularly if this is your first time writing like a thesis paper, it's difficult and you can't do it by yourself. So don't be afraid to reach out to teachers and professors to help you. I definitely did that. I wrote my paper on Black musical theater of the Harlem Renaissance, and I actually reached out to one of my English professors because I'm also not only my history major, I'm also an English major as well because I don't know, I like too many things, and so I decided to do two things because why not? So I actually reached out to one of my English professors who specializes in African American literature, and I asked him about sources on the Harlem Renaissance, and he was really, really helpful to help me find the sources that would help me with my paper. So again, and because like teachers and professors, giving them an opportunity to talk about something that is of interest to them and something that they have researched, like that's a really awesome opportunity. Just think about all the things that you know a lot about and how much it just makes your day when somebody asks you about that thing. And I think it's very similar with teachers and professors. Don't think that you're bothering them because it's literally their job to help you out. So ask them questions, ask them about, you know, sources and, you know, how to go about something because they want to help you. 3, push yourself to write a first draft of the paper. This is a difficult part because one of the scariest things when you're writing a paper is just looking at that blank page and not knowing how to start. It's so intimidating, so the sooner you get over that hump, the better. And honestly, by pushing yourself to write a first draft, it takes a lot of pressure off you because with first drafts, they don't have to be perfect. They can be rough, they don't have to be entirely, I mean, they should be like more or less grammatical, but it doesn't have to be perfect sentence construction. Your points don't have to be elegantly like explained. Just spew your ideas down on paper and try your best to, you know, have like a somewhat coherent construction, but just spit your ideas out on paper and see what happens. And with that first draft, once you have the first draft written, that'll be really helpful when you're writing a second draft because you actually have something to work from. You have a skeleton, or even more than just a skeleton. You have, I wanted to go further with the skeleton analogy and say like a skeleton with like meat on it, but that's kind of creepy, so I'm gonna, maybe I shouldn't use that. But you have a little bit more than just a skeleton to work from, and it'll be so much easier when you're writing your final draft because you actually have concrete things that you know work and don't work. You actually have a structure that you can restructure. You actually have ideas that you can rework and reword because you actually have something as opposed to just trying to start totally blank. And I know for me that was really helpful because how the class was structured was we had to have like a first draft written and submitted, and once I had done that, it was so much easier for me to go back and salvage what was workable and take out what wasn't. And when writing and it made writing the final draft a lot less stressful. So please write a first draft. It is helpful. 4, leave yourself enough time to write citations. I always trick myself into thinking that citations are going to take way less time than they are actually going to take. So what I'll do is I'll be like writing my paper and I'll be like, I'll put in the citations like when I'm all done writing because that'll be easy, and then I actually go in to write the citations and I realize this is actually going to take a little time. So I would recommend citing as you go. I mean, if you're in like a writing rhythm and you don't want to stop, that's fine, but as soon as you get to a stopping point, go back and put in the citations, and you will be thanking yourself when you get to the end of the paper and you just want to be done and you don't have any citations to put in because you've already put them in. You're going to be so happy when that happens. So cite as you go. You will thank yourself. Number 5, choose a question/argument/theme to help drive your research. When it comes to paper writing, this is pretty basic. You should have some kind of thesis statement or idea that is driving the argument of your paper, but it'll also be really helpful when driving your research because the sooner you kind of narrow your focus and figure out exactly what you're writing about, it'll be a lot easier to find sources that will actually be helpful for you and for your research. Because you don't want to be in a situation where you're reading all these sources and spending a lot of time reading sources that in the end you're just not going to end up using because it's not relevant to your topic. Obviously, like at the beginning of your research, you should go a little bit more broad because you're figuring out exactly what you're writing about. I know for me, it took me a little time to actually narrow my focus to specifically Black musical theater of the Harlem Renaissance. I kind of wibbled around with a couple incarnations of that idea, but eventually I was able to narrow my focus, and that made researching a lot easier because I knew what I was looking for. So I would recommend earlier on, focus on figuring out what your focus is going to be as you're like gathering sources, and then as you figure out that focus, narrow your sources to things that are going to be more and more relevant to your topic. And that's just going to be really, really helpful in making sure that you're not doing just all this extra superfluous research that you really don't need to be doing. That's just going to be really helpful to you when you're getting to your deadline, because then you know exactly what you're doing, exactly what you're writing about, and you can just focus on writing and getting it done and not doing all this like extra research that you don't need to be doing. So yes, I would recommend doing that. And number 6, enjoy the process. I know when you're in the middle of researching and you're getting stressed out and you're doing a lot of writing and it's just a lot of work and it's stressful, it's easy to forget to enjoy the process. And I've definitely been in that position where I've forgotten that I should be enjoying this and that I like doing this and that this is my dream to be doing stuff like this. But the thing is, particularly in history, the reason that you're in history is because you love it, okay? You're not here for the money, okay? Because you're not going to be getting any. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be so bored. You should find enjoyment in studying it. Particularly when you're studying a topic that you really like, it's going to be easier to enjoy the process. So when you're reading your sources and you're learning stuff, allow yourself to just be interested in what you're reading. This semester I was taking another history class and we had to do like another research paper for this class, and I was an idiot, okay? I basically did all the research and writing finals week, which is a really bad idea. Don't do that to yourself, but I kept on putting it off. But even in that, I didn't have a lot of time to research and write. So it was like rapid fire researching and writing. But even in that moment, I was able to find enjoyment in what I was reading because I chose a topic that was interesting. So don't be afraid to just have fun. Don't be afraid to enjoy yourself. I feel like I've said that like 50 times in this section, but even though it's stressful, don't be afraid to enjoy yourself. And again, when you like what you're researching and what you're writing about, that will really come across in the writing, and you will have better writing because it's coming from a place of joy rather than a place of, oh, I have to do this. And it's going to be a lot better for your readers too. Your readers are going to appreciate that because they're going to be interested in the topic along with you. So take people with that and take people on that journey with you. It's going to be really helpful. So yeah, those are my tips. I hope that for my fellow researchers out there and thesis writers out there, I hope that you've enjoyed this, and I hope that these tips are helpful, because if I can use my experience to help make someone else's research and writing process a little easier, this video will be more than worth it. I'm really hoping to put out another video somewhat soon. We'll see what happens. So as I say this goodbye, hopefully it's not going to be too long of a goodbye. So yeah, thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for watching, and I hope that I'll put out another video soon. Bye!